This is the GIS Evening Report for Thursday, June 27th, 2024. I am Rakisha St. Louis. In the headlines, OECS tourism ministers discuss ways to make the industry unmatched within the region. And the Ministry of Health reports increase in gastroenteritis. We'll have details to this story and more when we return. Welcome back. Chairman of the OECS Council of Tourism Ministers, Honorable Adrian Thomas, says the industry has the potential to drive unmatched change within the region. He made the comment at the opening of the 8th OECS Tourism Council of Ministers meeting at the Radisson Convention Center on Thursday. The meeting is an opportunity for tourism ministers to pool resources to boost development and discuss solutions to common challenges. Emphasis, he says, must be placed on climate change, boosting tourism spending, intra-regional travel, capacity building, among other critical areas. Minister Thomas stressed the significance of collaboration to unlock and harness new avenues to promote growth and development among OECS member countries.
As ministers of tourism, charged with setting policies and developing plans, we have a responsibility to ensure that we facilitate opportunities for additional visitor spending and that money spent are circulated within our economies as much as possible. Promoting local sourcing, supporting local artisans and encouraging community-based tourism projects like farm-table initiatives are effective ways to achieve this. Too often, the gains from tourism are concentrated in a few selected areas, leaving many communities marginalized and excluded from the benefits of this industry. Another challenge facing us as a region is the high cost and limited availability of intra-regional transportation, which presents significant obstacles. These barriers not only hinder the movement of residents and tourists alike, but also restrict economic integration and cooperation among the islands.
Former chair of the Council Dominica's Tourism Minister, Honorable Denise Charles, encouraged the collaboration in tackling the challenges that face the industry. She said although significant work has been done under her tenure in intra-regional travel and climate change, there is a lot more to be done.
There are other areas that require our attention. The April 2024 European Union Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, which obligates European Union companies to manage social and environmental impacts along their entire value chain, is significant. Whilst we must be vigilant about climate change here in the OECS, let us not forget that our region is the smallest contributor of carbon emissions. Our impact on climate change is negligible. We respect these laws, but we must be careful that climate mitigation action does not further increase our cost. High cost of transportation, increased cost of supplies has its impact across the spectrum of the tourism value chain. To combat this, we need to strengthen trade among our nations, enabling our region to become less dependent on imports.
Director General of the OECS, Dr. Didacus Jules, is optimistic that the new chair will receive support to update the Common Sustainable Tourism Policy of 2011 to include the blue economy. This policy, he says, will advance all elements of the sector and capitalize opportunities in blue economy.
The updated, retitled OECS Common Sustainable Tourism Policy will provide guidance on sustainable tourism development and climate-smart resilience policies, fostering a more prosperous and equitable tourism industry. This updated policy guides our region in sustainably advancing all elements of this key economic sector while capitalizing on opportunities in the blue economy. Given the robust member state consultations, we trust that it will support our common ambitions. Ministers will review the updated policies framework, including strategic direction, broad thematic development areas, and policy statements.
The Ministry of Health in its weekly bulletin has reported that last week, children under 5 and those 5 years and older saw 2% and 39% increases in gastroenteritis cases respectively, compared with the previous week. Gastroenteritis is an acute onset of diarrhea with or without fever and can cause loose or watery stools within 24 hours. The bacteria are spread through unhealthy practices such as not washing hands after using the toilet or changing diapers for babies and the elderly. The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, recently confirmed sapovirus, salmonella, and E. coli as the cause of the current outbreak. Minister for Health, Honorable Philip Telesford, noted the steps people need to take to stay healthy.
These cycles happen from time to time, but we cannot let down our guard. And you know, we had a very long dry spell in Grenada, and I believe all that gave impetus to the spread of the disease. So I think what we need to do now is to be very careful. And this one was very bad this time around. I mean, quite a lot of people cried out about this. What we want to do is to continue to encourage people to sanitize, boil your water, ensure that the utensils are clean, ensure that the children, their hands are clean. Those who suck fingers, you know, we have that still. Ensure that those hands are clean and the children do not put their hands in the mouth. Just like that, the bottle, those who use bottles and so on, ensure that it's clean, and try as much as possible to use cups as opposed to just using bottles to put into their mouths. But generally, we have to be much more conscious of what is happening around us and to try to avoid contamination at all costs.
Minister Telesford reiterated that anyone who suspects that he or she has gastro should first check with their community healthcare provider or private doctor before visiting the hospital.
We cannot continue to overburden the general hospital, but the local health centers and medical stations are fully equipped and competent enough to respond to things like gastro. And so we want to encourage our people to utilize the local facilities.
This is the GIS Evening Report. When we return, 2024 plant distribution season opened.
Caribbean people represent. Do you have what it takes to put your country in the spotlight? Register now for the 17th CARICOM Road Races, taking place on Saturday, 6 July, starting at Camahon Park, Grand Anse, Grenada. Races are open to athletes and inspiring athletes from all CARICOM member and associate member states. So get ready for the thrill and excitement of the 17th CARICOM Road Races. There are incredible cash prizes up for grabs. Don't miss out. Which country will take home the coveted CARICOM trophy? Register now on caricom.org to find out.
Welcome back. Chief Executive Officer of the Investment Migration Agency in Grenada, formerly the Citizenship by Investment Unit, Thomas Anthony, believes there is sustainability and longevity in the investment migration space once properly managed and structured. Mr. Anthony made the comments while participating in a business panel discussion held to give a 9-member investment team from Dubai a better appreciation of what the program entails.
Last year, we contributed 84% of the non-tax revenue and more than 30% of the overall revenue. The program saw the country benefited from investment to the tune of $1.4 billion. And direct income to government was about $479 million last year. We're projecting this year to equal last year's performance through the Investment Migration Agency. So you can see how important the program is to the country. And because of that, we made a determination that we were going to make some changes, some structural changes to the program.
He said the move from the CBI unit to the investment agency was done as the CBI merely connotes a single opportunity, that is, to make an investment and become a citizen.
Investment Migration Agency, or Investment Migration Program, sets the platform for additional offerings, such as a residency program. So currently we're talking about the addition of a residency program, which will see individuals who are not necessarily ready to become a citizen immediately, move to the island or spend a certain number of days here annually, pay an annual fee, and then after a certain time, currently the thinking is 3 years, you can apply for citizenship after you would have integrated into the society. Another aspect of the program that we're adding is the requirement for citizens to visit the country before actually being approved. Currently, we know that these programs are considered in some spaces as passport for sale programs. And that happens because there's no connection to the country by these citizens. And so we want to change that and create not just a transactional situation, but a relationship.
An update was also shared at a recent meeting between the government heads in countries where the program is ongoing as to the changes that will ensure standardization in many aspects of the program.
The 5 governments now, originally it was just 4 of the 5 governments, the 5 governments signed on to a memorandum of agreement which include cooperation on standards across the region, due diligence standards across the region, regulation of the stakeholders, the local agents and the marketing agents included, as well as developers. But more essentially, the minimum price floor. So the agreement was that, or is, that all 5 programs will have a minimum price of $200,000 US.
The changes, Mr. Anthony says, will take effect from July 1st, 2024.
As of July 1st, the price will change. I know there's been some speculation in the market as to whether or not we'll be ready to go. I can say to you here now that in the case of Grenada and at least 3 of the other programs, the price will increase to that minimum price floor of $200,000. There is one country where there is a legal impediment in that they have an inability to call Parliament together, and their legislation requires parliamentary change, not just an SRO, regulatory change. But the intention is for them to go soon after they're able to get Parliament together and have the legal change.
Mr. Thomas says the CBI program in Grenada is one with integrity, and with the robust approach to due diligence, he expects it to remain that way as it's significant to the Caribbean economy. More than 55,000 varieties of plants are now available to farmers following the launch of the 2024 plant distribution season at the Maribor Propagation Station on Wednesday. The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, Forestry and Marine Resources said it is on target for traditional cash crops, but has reduced amounts in root crops and certain tree crops. Alison Haynes, Chief Agronomist and Manager of the Maribor Propagation Station, attributed the challenges faced during the harsh dry season primarily to rampant incidences of predator larceny.
Predator larceny, aka theft of agricultural produce, is by far the biggest challenge that confronts our propagation stations, particularly here at the Maribor Agriculture Station. This year, we have suffered the loss of significant quantities of avocado, nutmeg, ginger, and sweet potato.
we had a lot of sleepless nights. That has resulted in us not being able to meet our propagation targets for both avocado and nutmeg. We do not operate this facility because we feel it's nice to operate a farm. We have a purpose. Our purpose here is to produce the planting material, conduct the research so that we can support the nation farmers. So I'm calling on all to please respect the operation and show appreciation for it.
Considering the efforts invested throughout the year in propagating plants, their subsidized cost to farmers, and the agronomic support provided by the Ministry, Permanent Secretary Isaac Bagwan encouraged farmers to approach their farming endeavors as business ventures.
Just want to make that call that farmers need to play their role. It is a contract arrangement. It is a partnership. We would be providing you with a number of the support and inputs so that you could get out there and ply your trade and do what you do as best. And so we're concerned because I've been told that over the years we've propagated so many plants, and if all these plants that we have propagated and if all of them were planted, then Grenada would be fully covered with fruits and vegetables that we don't have space to put in. But the reality is that some farmers with good intention, they come, they purchase these planting material, etc., and they have good intention to plant it, but they don't. And so every year, you know, they left things there to dry up and so, and it is a cost for government. And I want to emphasize the point that we are providing these planting materials at a very subsidized cost. And as such, again, I want to emphasize that farmers need to play the role.
Agriculture Minister Honorable Lennox Andrews highlighted the significant role plant propagation plays in advancing projects and programs within the ministry. He spoke to initiatives like the spice replanting and the Agricultural Development Assistance Program.
The Ministry of Agriculture, together with the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association, is now well positioned to implement the second phase of the spice replanting project. This project aims to support the revitalization and development of the spice industry, which is crucial for the transformation of our economy. Under this National Spice Replanting Project, the ministry will assist at least 150 farmers in establishing and or rehabilitating 150 acres of spices. The plants propagated by the ministry will now be available to farmers benefiting from land clearing and other services under the Agricultural Development Assistance Program, the ADAPT, which is at the peak of its implementation. The synchronization of ADAPT's implementation with the opening of the plant distribution this year is a commendable achievement for the ministry.
This is the GIS Evening Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Welcome to the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting hosted by the incoming chairman, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, July 3rd to 5th, St. George, Grenada.
Violence is never the answer. Let's talk it out. We need a safe space for our children to grow up, so let us respect each other. You see this little light of mine? I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna keep it burning for the children is looking on. So let's take advantage of the gun amnesty in full effect until July 30th. Remember, the answer is love. A message from the Ministry of National Security. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna keep it burning.
The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Welcome back. And finally, the conversation has started with officials from the Ministry of Social and Community Development to formulate a national disability policy and action plan with support from the United Nations. The policy will highlight the importance of inclusion and integration for the differently abled living in Grenada. Public consultation started this week with experts from UNDP Barbados. Social and Community Development Minister Senator Gloria Thomas said this move is historic and will set the trend for more development.
The development of a national disability policy will support the need for a substantive legislative framework for persons living with disabilities. To achieve equity in society, the government, businesses, agencies, and organizations play a key role in changing community attitudes to remove the barriers for persons living with disabilities. The government of Grenada remains steadfast and committed as we work assiduously towards an inclusive, equitable society.
UNDP consultant Candice Ramasa said there are little or no accommodations made for the disabled in various sectors of the economy. She shared some findings from a survey conducted in 2023.
In Grenada, there is a lack of safeguards, and safeguards is what protect you or protect your status in this society, all right? So you can have legal protection and you can have policy protections. Persons with disability in Grenada, unfortunately, do not have specific protections, all right? They are protected under the Constitution of Grenada, which recognizes everybody as being equal, but we do know that the Constitution, outside of the Constitution, we still need other safeguards, legal protections for children, for women, for workers, and we've found the barriers in education, like I've said. The barriers in education would be the lack of specialized schools in Petite Martinique and Carriacou. But when we were in Petite Martinique and Carriacou, they seem to be more inclined towards an inclusion, which is the government's approach. Like they want everybody to be in the same school. They do not want a special school for persons with disability, but that the regular school should make accommodation for persons with disabilities, children with disability. I spoke about the persons not wanting to hire persons with disability, but there's also the fact that there's few options in employment, right? And a way in which I've noted that the attitudinal affects what happens, you know, the de facto, is the fact that when I speak to stakeholders, they seem to be able to, the perception is that persons with disability should go into skills and entertainment and those kinds of jobs. You know, there's not this perception that they can be anything they want to be in Grenada, doctors, lawyers, nurses.
Community members in attendance shared some concerns and suggestions.
If only parents are given some guidelines, early heads up, if the child will be born, if the system know, if they know, will be born with some sort of disability. Now, I believe if the parents are being guided accordingly, I will call that one education. Now, when that bouncing baby boy or that beautiful girl see the earth, now you as that mother and the father, because you have already received prior knowledge, you will be more open-minded to receive your picnic, your son or your daughter, regardless of the disability.
There are buses that does have the functionality of carrying with persons living with disability. However, they are very, and I can't stress enough, very expensive. So for that initiative, I call on perhaps the Global Affairs of Canada, United Nations, the government of Grenada, and the Bus Owners Association to have that dialogue to see how they can bring and have multiple buses within Grenada, as well as, by extension, the other Caribbean countries.
I think the sporting world already accommodate most persons with disability. If you look at cricket, you see they put bells, cricket and football, so they follow the song. Even in basketball sometimes, they have something to knock so they know where the net is. So in most sports, they already accommodate persons with different disabilities. I think it would be just up to different countries, different sporting associations to change the rules, or just for them to start accommodating them according to what the world has already done.
That story just ended the GIS Evening Report for today, Thursday, June 27th. A recap of the top stories. OECS tourism ministers discuss ways to make the industry unmatched within the region. And the Ministry of Health report increase in cases of gastroenteritis. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us.